Hello everyone, thanks for tuning in to Dogman Stories YouTube channel. I'm your host Amanda Lawson, and you can contact me by email at dogmanstories@gmail.com if you would like to share an encounter of your own, or if you know someone who has an encounter involving the Dogman, of course, and if you have permission to tell their story. Also, Dogman Stories is back on regular schedule for now on, Saturdays at 9 p.m. Eastern Time. I hope everyone is able to join us. We have a lot to catch up on. I first want to tell you thank you to everyone who has had my back in all that's been going on lately. Some of you know my mother did pass away around Christmas. I was taking care of her before that, so I had to take a break because it became a little overwhelming to deal with her and trying to record a show. So I just want to thank everyone, and for all of you guys who supported me during that time, thank you so much. I couldn't have made it without you, and I appreciate your patience as I take time to heal and adjust to life without my mother. So thank you. And I want to start off this show with an encounter I received from Midwest Dogman Research Organization. It's a group who goes out and does all kind of field work, gets all kinds of DNA or whatever they can find, gathers data, shares data. You know, there's a lot of these research groups out there, so you can always check them out on Facebook, on Google, you know, whatever search engine you have. So just check them out. And again, it's called Midwest Dogman Research Organization. So without further ado, Dogman Stories. We're back. This encounter comes from Michigan, 60 miles north of Grand Rapids, Michigan. From a young couple, they have both reported almost entirely the same encounter, so there is no doubt to its validity to our researchers. They report on or about May 18, 2016, Monica, as we will call her, had just arrived home from picking up her 6-year-old daughter from the babysitter. She stated that when she pulled into the driveway of their home, she noticed a very large dog running into the woods behind their home. She stated it was on all fours at the time that she saw the creature. As she was getting her child out of the back seat, her daughter said, "Look, Mommy, the big dog is looking at us." As Monica turned to look, she said her heart started to race. She said the dog was now standing on 2 legs, staring at her. In fear for her child, she picked up her child and ran into the house. She called out to her husband, as we'll call him Tim. She told him what she saw, and he laughed and told her she had been imagining what she thought she saw. Then the daughter said, "Look, Daddy, that big dog is on the porch looking at us." Tim turned to see a very large wolf-like creature on 2 legs standing on the patio deck, right there at the patio door, which was a sliding glass door. Tim stated that the creature was at least 6.5 feet tall, had a large wolf's head, and was built like a bodybuilder. Tim stated at first he could not believe what he was seeing and froze. Then he said it looked as if the creature was looking for a way to get in their home. It looked at the patio door, all around the top and the bottom, then at the handle, as if it was going to open it. Tim thought to himself, "Did I lock that door?" He could not remember. Monica took their daughter and slowly moved towards the basement door. As Tim was trying to block the creature's view at his family, Tim could not get to the phone on the other side of the room. He feared if he made a sudden move, the creature would crash through the thin glass door and kill all of them. Tim just kept frozen in fear. His wife opened the basement door, and she and her daughter slowly went down the stairs. Tim then stated that he began to tear up because his daughter was crying, "Daddy, Daddy, please come with us, Daddy." At this moment, the investigator began to tear up, as did Tim. When he and Monica were telling this encounter, anyway, they stated that the creature then raised its right arm and hand. Tim said it was very large. It had a very large hand and at least 2-inch claws. It looked like a raccoon paw, but 20 times the size. He then said this creature did something you would not expect or even see in a nightmare. It tapped on the glass door with its index finger, as if it were taunting Tim and saying, "I see you, and I can get you if I want to." Tim said it displayed an intelligence as that of a human, but it was not human. I asked Tim and Monica if they could describe its eyes. At the same time, they said black. Then Monica said black as death, as she began to cry and wanted the interview to end. We respected her wishes and ended the interview, and we were being walked out to the vehicle by Tim. He apologized. I told him it was not necessary. I understand. You don't need to apologize. He said, "No, you don't know. I didn't lock the door." It dropped to all fours and ran off of the deck, he said after a few minutes. I yelled at Monica and our daughter to come up. It was gone. Monica stood in the living room and looked at the door for several minutes, then slowly walked towards the door to see if it was completely gone. Tim said she started to shake, visibly tremble, shaking very bad. Tim thought it had not gone and she was seeing it in the backyard. So he moved quickly to her. The creature was gone, but the reason she was shaking was because the door was unlocked. Monica had a breakdown. She began sobbing uncontrollably and screaming, "You left the door unlocked? It could have killed my baby. It could have killed my baby." Although Monica was still visibly shaken, I had no doubt that the incident occurred. Although we did not interview the young child, the young girl overheard us talking and asked her mommy in an instant, "Is the monster back? The monster won't come back, will he?" After Monica was asked that in front of 2 investigators, myself included, I knew the interview with Monica was over. Tim would continue, as Monica would leave the room and return several times, stating, "They don't believe us. No one will ever believe us." I assured her, "We do believe you. And there is an entire community out there that believes you." She began to tear up. The names of the witnesses are protected. The location is an approximate distance from the biggest town or city. The exact location cannot be disclosed to protect the family and community. This interview was the most heartbreaking interview I've ever attended. The terror in Monica and Tim's voices, the little child asking if the monster was coming back, as she hugged her daddy, that tore my heart. I would like people to know that searching out these creatures would be taking a knife to a gunfight. They should not be messed with. A lot of encounters I have documented did not turn out like this one. Others have been physically attacked and harmed. These creatures would have no problem tearing a person apart. Well, guys, that is so true. These creatures would have no problem tearing you apart. I mean, we've seen what bears can do to humans. So just imagine something that has like bear claws with 20 times faster than a bear and probably a lot more strength than the bear. So I'd like to thank Midwest Dogman Research Organization for sending us that encounter from Tim and Monica and their 6-year-old daughter. I'm glad that the story did end like that, with all of them maybe not mentally fine, but physically they were not attacked. So that's always a good thing to hear about. But, I totally agree. Do not go looking for these things unless you intend to die. You may not die, but to be safe, let's just go ahead and plan on you dying, so you're not surprised if it happens. Now, the next person I kind of want to talk about does just that. He photographs them. He sits back and admires them in their natural habitat. Now, he's done it so long, they know he's there, but luckily he has not yet been killed. I hope to get him on a phone interview next week, and yes, I can do them. I finally have my studio set up where I can do phone interviews, and they sound amazing. So if there are any takers, send me an email to dogmanstories@gmail.com, and hopefully we'll have some phone interviews coming up. Now, I know he's listening right now. I hope he's thinking about it. Cross your fingers, guys. You want to hear what this man has to say. I think you will learn a lot about the creature from him, which is what's important here, and also learn about his encounters or interactions. But for now, we'll listen to the Dogman story from what he calls himself, the Werewolf Hunter, and you will find out why he calls himself that. So, without further ado, the Werewolf Hunter. Hello, Amanda. Like the show. It's simple and straight to the point. You tell it like it is and don't sugarcoat anything or beat around the bush. When I research and take pictures of these nasty beasts, there's no room for bullshit or error. How you present information and how you state it is what I feel the general public needs to know. As far as what we're facing when we decide to walk into the forest or take a quick picnic or innocent outing with the kids, I've been a field researcher for 10 years in my spare time. Now I know that this is a very stupid thing to do. The name I've given myself for bearing or having the balls to face them is the Highland Werewolf Hunter. I've never hunted them, but I have been hunted and been escorted down back to the trailhead, where there is one waiting for you. You don't hunt them, they hunt you. But I still take pictures. I'm very good at taking pictures of these creatures. I know a lot about their behaviors and how they are masters of shadow and disguise. From my encounters, there's simply nothing, not even a massive grizzly or lion, that could do to challenge these creatures. To say the very least, there is no challenge at all. They are absolutely at the top of the food chain, and we as humans are very close to the bottom of that chain. I have my own classified name for these things. That may sound funny, but the government and all its agencies and scientists won't stick out their neck to admit the terrible folly of what humans are going to be facing very soon. From what I gather, they are coming out of the closet per se. So if you want to know a lot more, I'm writing a book. The encounters of my research is written in the book, but I do not have the time or money to complete it at the moment. So I am going to be speaking with Amanda on Dogman Stories if you'd like to know more. The Highland Werewolf Hunter is copywritten. The name is because of where I live, at the base of the Rocky Mountains in Idaho. You go into the highlands to find them. Well, I cannot wait to hear from the Highland Werewolf Hunter. It sounds really terrifying, and I know he's got a lot of encounters to talk about, and I would love to find out how they do in their natural habitat, if they run in packs or if they run alone. I know that one encounter can't speak for all the other encounters. I'm sure there's more than one pack or more than one loner wolf or something, but I just cannot wait to talk to him. You guys are going to love what he has to say. Now for our next Dogman story, it was sent in to us by one of our friends from the UK. This is an encounter that is reported the most by young adults. And it's what I like to call teenage Scooby snacks. Hello. First of all, can I just say how much I love your channel and how much it has helped me come to terms with what I saw. It really helps to know that there are a lot of people out there that have seen these strange creatures and that I am not crazy. A little background about myself before I get into my story. My name is Damien. I am 23 years old from West Midlands of England in the UK. Now I don't live far from a place called Cannock Chase, which is where my encounter took place. It happened when I was 19 years of age. I had just completed a new album, and at that age, with any excuse, me and my friends, Peggy, Rosalind, my boyfriend James, and his friends Francis and Eamon, took the opportunity to have a little private celebration in the Chase. We went to our local store, bought some booze, and off we went into the woods for an all-nighter, as is the normal for teenagers. We got to our usual spot around 10 p.m. and got to drinking. About an hour had passed, we were getting tipsy and having a good time playing my new tunes from James's Bluetooth speaker when Peggy screamed. I was shocked and asked, "What the bloody hell is wrong with you?" She said, "I swear, I have just seen a bear by that log." Now, Peggy has always been a little dipsy and is often the butt end of our jokes with some of the things that she comes out with. So everyone just burst into laughter, and Francis said, "You don't get bears in England, you dweeb." Everyone laughed it off and got back to drinking. However, I couldn't help but think I had heard of the Cannock Chase werewolf before. I never believed in it, mind you. Men that had turned into wolves? Come on. I wasn't a kid. I just thought it was a folk tale like the Loch Ness Monster or Bigfoot, but without thinking too much of it. I just registered the thought and carried on with the moment. Peggy, however, couldn't. She was jumpy and kept on looking around her into the woods. An hour or so later, I was a tad bit merry and also apparent that I needed a wee, so I went a little off into the woods to get some privacy. As I was doing my thing, I heard leaves crackling in a footstep fashion. I stopped myself. "Hello? Babe, is that you?" No reply. So I got back to it, just to hear the sound again. Carrying on this time, I called, "Guys, if you're trying to scare me, too bad. I'm too tipsy to care." I just finished up when I heard a deep growl emit from the darkness. I looked around, now quite frightened, but couldn't see a thing. I quickly ran as fast as I could back to the others and into James's arms. "Whoa, babe, what's wrong?" he asked. I told him what had happened, and he just laughed at me. "Ah, babe, had a bit too much to drink, eh?" I scowled. "Don't be a miss. I'm serious. It was probably your imagination after too many to drink and Peggy's eyes needing testing," he said, as him and Francis and Eamon all started laughing. "Fine, don't believe me," I snapped, sitting on my log with obviously annoyance. Rosalind sat next to me. I know he's been a prick, but he's probably right. It's probably just the drink, that's all. I know she was trying to be nice and comfort me, but I know what I heard. I know I didn't imagine it. I sat there for the next hour, seething to myself, slowly sobering up. I was so mad that the only person who seemed to believe me was Peggy, and that my own boyfriend was just acting stupid. He wouldn't believe me at all. My own boyfriend laughing at me with his mates. Every now and then one of them would make a snarky comment to take, and eventually I just snapped. Do you know what, James? Piss off. You and your bleeding dickhead little mates can take your scroggly comments and shove them up your ass. I got up and stormed off into the woods, James trying to call me back, but ignoring him until he was out of earshot. I found a little spot a while away, sat down and started to cry. I was still a little tipsy, heightened with emotions, and although, but then through my tears I heard those footsteps again. I stopped myself and listened. They were getting closer. I looked around to the general direction I was hearing them from, but I couldn't see anything. I slowly got up, trying not to alert whatever it was to the fact that I could hear it in case it was some knife-wielding nutcase. I walked a little and realized that in my anger I hadn't taken note of the direction I had came from. Oh shit, I thought. That bastard better be looking for me. I walked until I found a big tree that my whole body would fit behind and slipped in behind it. Now being very scared, I heard the crunching of the leaves getting closer and closer. I stood there shaking, thinking this is it. I'm about to be murdered by some weirdo creeping around the woods in the middle of the night. Until I heard dog sniffing. I was so confused. I thought somebody was chasing me through the woods. Now I hear what sounds like a dog sniffing around right behind the tree. A massive breath of relief and thinking, oh, thank heavens for that. It's just a lost pooch. I turned around to see a massive 8, 9, maybe even 10-foot beast standing on its hind legs behind me. But in a split second, I wasn't scared. Like as if some primal instinct held me for a second before logical thought kicked in. It was the most beautiful creature I have ever seen. It was a sturdy-looking beast. It was muscular. It had shaggy and matted light brown and gray fur, a fluffy mane around its neck, and like a German shepherd's shaggy tail, its face looked, well, just like a wolf, in fact. Yeah, like a wolf. Kind of looked like my Siberian husky, Snowy, at home. Only his eyes were more of a golden yellowish color. But Snowy's were chocolate brown eyes, so it didn't have the same kind of eyes as my dog. But he was just gorgeous, I thought, until thinking all of a sudden, bloody hell, I've got to get out of here. I ran as fast as I could in the opposite direction to the beast. He seemed to give me a head start. Then on all fours he got and ran like the wind, taking no time to catch up to me. He pounced, slamming me to the floor. I felt a sharp pain in my elbow down to my fingers, and I screamed. He turned me over and pinned me down. His weight was immense. I screamed and screamed at the top of my lungs for James, but try as I might, I could not move. He just had me pinned down looking at me. He got in my face, and I closed my eyes, thinking this was the end. But I just felt a tickle in my ear as he sniffed me, just like Snowy did at home. You know when your dog sniffs you in the ears and tickles you with his whiskers? Well, this enormous monster was doing just that. I was in shock. I thought he was going to eat me. He did not want to play. He stood up, still looking at me like his curious new toy. Just then I heard James, Francis, and Peggy. Damon, you okay, Day? What the bloody? The beast looked at them, gave me one last glance, and then took off, fast as lightning, into the night. James ran to me, tears now streaming down his face. "Babe, you okay?" "I'm so sorry, baby. Are you hurt? I should have never let you go off like that." "I'm fine, I promise. It didn't hurt me." Ouch! I realized that my fall, I had hurt my elbow. I later found out that it was a slight dislocation, but I knew that it was an accident. The animal had not tried to hurt me at all. I had a lot of trouble coming to terms with it all, but simply because I wondered if I was going crazy. But if that were the case, James, Francis, and Peggy are all crazy too, right? They all seen it. We finally found this entire community of people who has seen or encountered the creature we had. So we took comfort knowing we are not alone when it comes to seeing these magnificent creatures. Also, we feel validation in our experience. I just want others to not think that all dogman, lichens, and werewolves, or whatever you call them, are vicious, bloodthirsty monsters. In fact, I believe that they are just the opposite. They're Earth's creatures trying to get by, just like the rest of us. Thank you for listening to my story. I hope others can take comfort in it. There's a lot of creatures out there. Well, guys, that is one heck of a story. I have never in all my years read a story of a dogman wanting to play with somebody and pouncing on them without hurting them. Or at least, let me rephrase that. I've never had anyone tell me that they thought the dogman was wanting to play with them. Unless it was a child or something like that. But to actually have one physically jump on you and then smell you and turn you around and toss you over here, toss you over there, that is just a magnificent story all by itself. So I would like to thank everyone for sending their stories in today. And also, I would like to tell you that we are writing a book, Dogman Stories, the series. If you want your encounter to be put in my book, just send me an email to dogmanstoriesbooks@gmail.com. That's DOGMANSTORIESBOOK@gmail.com. And we can get you in there along with everybody else. And hopefully the book will be out by Christmas. So, I hope you guys tune in next time for more Dogman Stories with Amanda Lawson. Thank you and good night.